joked about this with Charles a minute ago. I'm going to say it. From one frog to another, at least a Frenchman. Good to have you with us, Charles Pellegrin. Business news. We're going to start in the US with Harris making the case that she is a pro-union candidate.
The Democratic candidate made a Labor Day speech in Pennsylvania alongside President Joe Biden and really pushed her pro-working class positions in what is a key battleground state. And one of her positions was to join both Joe Biden and Donald Trump in opposing the sale of U.S. Steel, a historic American industrial company, to Japan's Nippon Steel. Now let's take a listen to Kamala Harris.
U.S. Steel is an historic American company, and it is vital for our nation to maintain strong American steel companies, and I couldn't agree more with President Biden. U.S. Steel should remain American-owned and American-operated. And I will always have the back of America's steelworkers.
Kamala Harris, to explain to us then, Charles, why it's such an unpopular deal.
Well, mainly because it's staunchly opposed by the United Steelworkers Union, which argues that Nippon Steel hasn't given sufficient commitments to keep union-represented mills open and honor existing contract terms. This deal was agreed to on principle by both companies in December of last year with a purchase price of over $14 billion. And Nippon Steel has sought to give assurances to union workers by saying it will increase investments in their mills by $1.3 billion. But the response has been one of skepticism. The steelworker unions saying these commitments need to be included in their contracts. While both presidential candidates want to be seen as siding with the unions, local politicians are concerned that this deal might be the best way to salvage the troubled U.S. steel industry and to keep jobs locally. There are quite a few hurdles to clear before it goes through, though, with the Justice Department conducting an antitrust review and the Committee on Foreign Investments in the U.S. conducting a national security review. Well, in a statement, Nippon Steel continued to defend its move to buy its U.S. rival by saying, "We're confident that Nippon Steel's acquisition of U.S. Steel will revitalize the American steel Rust Belt, benefit American workers, local communities, and national security in a way no other alternative can." Well, the next president of the United States will definitely be a decisive factor in what happens next.
Well, let's move on to the stock markets. Bring us up to date. What's the picture like in Europe, Sean?
Well, at the open, we're seeing all major indices trading positively. This after an underwhelming start of trading to the month on Monday. As you can see, the FTSE in London up by over 1/10%. The Paris CAC 40 up almost 1/4% higher, and the DAX in Frankfurt up over 1/4% higher.
Now, next on the programme, we're going to talk about Duralex. What am I talking about? You must know. Look at the bottom of the glass, and it probably says it along the bottom. It's an iconic brand here in France and around the world. Tempered glass dishware with its reputation as unbreakable. Real staple of French cafes, even Hollywood films as well.
And the company, though, has nearly shattered on too many occasions to count, repeatedly falling into administration amid dodgy buyouts, the COVID pandemic, and the Russian energy crisis. A month ago, the business was taken over by its own employees as a cooperative. On Monday, they held a grand reopening. Brian Quinn reports.
This is the Duralex factory outside the French city of Orléans. These are the company's employees and, as of now, its owners. Famous for its tempered glass, repeatedly heated to over 1,300 degrees to boost its strength. In July, the iconic French dishmaker officially became an employee-run cooperative.
Every vested employee who believed in this project from the start gets to have their say. The profits are gathered and distributed among employees instead of getting siphoned off by shareholders, and we reinvest in the business.
Like its products, the company itself has been through the fire. Starting in 1997, a series of buyouts eventually saw Duralex stripped down to near bankruptcy by an unscrupulous Turkish owner. It barely survived, then recovered, but the COVID pandemic and the explosion of energy prices amid Russia's war on Ukraine once again brought it near collapse, saved only by 15 million euros in government aid. Duralex once had some 1,500 employees. By the time their co-op bid was approved in late July, the number was just 230. The company faces a difficult road ahead. Sales fell from 31 million euros in 2022 to just 24.6 million last year.
Our goal is 40 million in revenues at 12% gross profits within 5 years. For that, we need to hire and train personnel. It's not machines that make glass, it's people.
It's an ambitious goal for these employee owners, whose determination is as unbreakable as the glassware they produce.
Yeah, bringing back memories of school cafeterias as well. Now we're going to end with the British band Oasis, the reunion tour, leaving a bit of a bitter taste for fans. This is even before it's actually started.
Thousands of Oasis fans waited long hours in virtual queues over the weekend to get their hands on tickets for the British band's reunion shows next summer, only to find that prices had been hiked as part of a dynamic pricing scheme. Well, the UK government says it will investigate the price hikes and consider an overhaul of the system. Jenny Shin has this.
It's the moment that Oasis fans have only dreamed of, a chance to see the iconic British band reunited and play live for the first time in 16 years. But many fans virtually queuing for hours on end for a ticket were met with a nasty surprise, with many confronted with double or triple the initially advertised price.
I think the prices were absolutely ridiculous. Like, what was it, like 300 for something? And I feel like it should be like at least 100.
I think the whole Ticketmaster pricing scheme is reprehensible. I think it discourages true fans from accessing what they really want to see, and it creates a whole lot of competition that doesn't need to be there.
Anger at missing out on tickets is now being directed at the platform Ticketmaster for their dynamic pricing, a strategy in which businesses push up prices at times of high demand.
What was happening was basically the sort of algorithm was looking to balance supply and demand. So as sort of demand was increasing, demand was high, it tries to find that price that really balances supply and demand, that sort of clears the market. And that's what it did. So the sort of prices went up when demand was high.
The outrage is also due to the lack of transparency, as many fans had no idea that a dynamic pricing model was in use. Following the backlash, the government says it will consider an overhaul of the system.
We think there's clearly a problem there, and so we'll be consulting over the autumn about the changes that are needed to enable fans to have access to, whether it's gigs or live events, at a fair price and in a fair way.
More than 1 million tickets went on sale Saturday morning, with the prices starting at around €88. But the increase in demand has seen some resale sites selling them for more than 9,000.
Hopefully the fans won't be looking back in too much anger by the time these concerts come around.
I was going to say that, and you stole it.
It was the obvious one.
It's a great one, though. Well done, Charles. Shopberg with the business here on France 24. That's the latest. More news in just a few moments' time.